Actually, it's funny, because the first time I went back to Dublin, it was really weird. I had nothing in the house, and because I hadn't been there like 3 months, but I'd grapes in the fridge, and they turned into currants, and I'd feta cheese and it turned into butter, and I had an onion that kind of just disintegrated. Do you know what I mean? But it was like I just threw out everything. But it's funny. I went up and got fish and chips then up the road, and you have to queue outside, and it would only take one by one, and you get a number, and then they have a microphone to call your number, so you can hear them. I felt like I was in 28 Days Later. Do you know the way? So, I feel like it's some apocalypse film. I was like, well, what's this? But the thing is, everywhere now you'll have to queue. So you come prepared. You have I have an audiobook now at the moment I'm listening to. So I didn't mind standing in the queue then, and yeah. Or listen to music or something, because everywhere, even in my town, they have queues outside the barbers, and people are just queuing, but it takes a little while sometimes.
Welcome to the No Budget Indie Filmcast, where we dip into the independent film universe to highlight those little films that you might not have heard about elsewhere. Will you agree with our panel of... I was going to change it up in my head there, but then as I was saying it, I messed it up because I was thinking about it while also reading it. So it's supposed to be, will you agree with our panel of experts, or will they agree with each other? No, I had something else earlier. What was it?
I wouldn't say.
I don't remember what it was. Oh, well. Anyways, we're going to argue about the film, and in the end, we'll give ratings to it. And you, as the audience member, can decide whether or not you agree with us or not. That's pretty much the show. Today, I am joined by Cathal Feeney.
Hello.
And Claire Milan.
Hello.
It's because I did it correctly last week that I couldn't do it correctly this week. It was 2 weeks in a row of doing the intro properly. All right, Cathal, you found this week's gem. What are we watching?
Okay, so this week's film is called Greener Grass, and I'm just going to have to read this as I'm saying it. So it's written by Jocelyn DeBoer and Dawn Luebbe, who also star in it, and the director is Paul J. Briganti. So this is a surreal, dark comedy set somewhere in sort of middle America. So you have these two soccer moms that meet at the soccer game of their young boys, and they have a kind of a typical gossipy, sort of superficial, vacuous conversation that is punctuated by really bizarre moments. And I just thought it was hilarious. And I'm not necessarily one who likes to rewatch films, even if I like it. But this is a film I could rewatch again and again because it's so rich, so many rich comic moments. And it's really kind of a send up of social behavior, social interaction, and these two parents that they're almost more concerned about how they're perceived and fitting in, and fitting in with the society than actually being true to themselves. I just thought it's really it's very well observed very well that social behavior in that kind of context. But there's also an undertone of sort of creepiness about it. I don't know how much that was down to the way it was written or the influence of the director. It has sort of a Twin Peaky, Lynchian sort of vibe about it too. And it's kind of the end. There's a character in it, and he kind of appears at the end. And I'm not really sure what it's about, but overall, I just thought it was really, really funny.
I actually saw this a while ago. And when you sent it and I started watching, I was like, I spent most of the time watching it trying to remember why I had watched it a long time ago. I think I had read something about the girls that made it, and that led me to watching it or something like that. But I loved it then, and I loved it this time as well. It's just so. weird, but done in such a well done way that you can buy into it. And it reminds me of, Claire, like you think improv class and how you just kind of go along with whatever's thrown at you. And this seems like a lot of this is built around that. Like, what if we add this element, but everybody just buys into that? Like, that's actually true and happening, and nobody questions it. And that's what's kind of great about the way that they play off of each other in here, in regards to the elements that they add or the changes they made. And it's just like you see a moment of thought, and then you see, okay, I'm going to go with it, and never question it again as being reality. And it was just really well done, and the commitment between all of the performers in it made that work really well. So it was a lot of fun to watch.
It's funny you say about the improv, because these are alumni of, do you ever hear of the Upright Citizens Brigade?
Mm-mm.
But they're an improv group. I think they started in Chicago, but they're really like, say Amy Poehler would have been a part of them, and a few, I think she set it up originally, but it's a really famous improv group. And these are I think it's the two women in it, that they came from this improv class and the Upright Citizens Brigade. But yeah, because it is very like improv, isn't it? The way, like, oh, when you say yes and the whole thing. Like at first when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, this is so weird. so weird. And I wasn't sure I particularly liked it. But no, there's so much in it though. Like there's so much social commentary. It's kind of like Stepford Wives, but in a kind of bizarre way. And there's a moment where all of a sudden one of them has braces at the start, but their teeth are perfect. So they, it's like they're trying to create this perfect image. Then all of a sudden the other girl has braces. And there's a kind of a horrible image where they're kissing each other's husbands. You don't realize that they're kind of slobbering all over up close shots. Fair play to those actors,
Oh, totally.
So,
like shooting that scene
I mean?
must have been so hard to do.
Yeah, it's and then they're like, oh, hold on, you're the wrong husband.
Yeah.
And,
The wrong husband. Yeah.
yeah,
And
it's
there was another scene that I don't know if I really paid much attention to it the first time, but I think they were drinking coffee, and then when she just kind of purposely walks to the end of the benches, and then just throws them away. Like instead of putting them in a bench, just chucks them away. Like.
I even like the thing with the baby, like, oh, cute little baby, and the woman's, oh, isn't he's gorgeous? And then she's like, do you want him?
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, like you don't expect that. And then it's like, yeah, and she's kind of like a pleaser, the I don't know what
the other girl, yeah.
But she just wants to fit in. She wants to be liked, and she doesn't have maybe a kind of this kind of a self-awareness that she feels a kind of sense of unease, or when she's done it, but she's not sure why. And the other character, she's kind of a little bit more sinister. There's another one. There's another scene where they're having their picnic with the couples, and the one of the men, like, he makes this kind of a lame joke, and they all have this really exaggerated laughter. Yeah, and that's so accurate, like when you're in a kind of environment, somebody says something and you just that's so funny. Oh my God, you're so hilarious.
And it's funny, and there's like the son. There's one of them has a son. He's like playing soccer, and he's just like, he's not great at playing soccer, and he turns into a dog. It's like, it is, again, it's like yes and an improv. So it's such a bizarre film that it's something you have to watch 2 or 3 times, because there is so many layers to it.
There was obviously that guy who was the voyeur, and he appears at the end. I'm not quite sure what his purpose was, unless like maybe they just lived in a kind of a bubble. And that
what I think he probably represents? He probably represents us, like, and they represent like people we see in Instagram, say, or people on social media, and their perfect lives, and then he probably represents us, and he wants that life, kind of, maybe, because he looked like a real kind of slovenly. We only saw a little bit on obese kind of guy, but maybe it's kind of symbolic, possibly.
They had that bit where they talked about some other third girl in the beginning, and she's like, she's not here this week, and then in the end, they found out like she died. So I thought they were he was like the cause of why she died or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
That's kind of what I took out of it. But I kind of get the vibe that they just added that as another layer of creepiness to the whole film. And once again, I can imagine them making and be like, okay, and now what if we had this? And what if we have just some creepy guy sitting in a car watching everybody? Yeah, that's brilliant. And then, so just to bring it up just to another level.
Or maybe it's just reality intruding, like, because
Yeah,
they live in this
it's
kind
like
of
their
fake
perfect
world,
lives.
this perfect world,
Yeah.
and this guy's going to come in and blow that apart.
It's like the first girl, she's going to get rid of her identity by giving the other woman everything. It's like she becomes not even, she ends up with nothing, more or less,
Yeah, she loses
Like,
everything kind of thing.
Yeah. It's funny because I think this won a jury award was South by Southwest
I
jury
think
award.
South by Southwest, yeah, wasn't
Was South by Southwest.
Let me check. I've got IMDb up here. Not South by Southwest. So a bunch of festivals. Atlanta Film Festival, American Film Fest, Spirit. So just a bunch of festivals, but not South by Southwest.
Okay. But it's, and also I love you can tell they probably improv, like the people in it are probably an improv group. You could see the kind of to and fro between them. Like I think they wrote it as well, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
The two main actors, they wrote it, definitely.
Yeah.
And like I said at the beginning, I wonder when they wrote it, did they have in mind the kind of the style that came out in the film, or were they just playing it for laughs? But I'm normally one who thinks that the writers don't get enough credit, but probably in this instance that it was a perfect blend of the two, the two kind of.
But even like down to the like what they wore, the costume, and like the setting as well. It was a very well, like very good premise to think of the stand as a soccer. It's kind of an intro. It was kind of a simple setup to have these characters to interact. Like it's kind of well thought out if you actually analyze it, and even the way they're dressed and the colors and all that as well.
And also the music. So they use kind of classical music. It gives this sort of pretentious, kind of ominous kind of vibe. And that reminded me of Rejected, which we reviewed a while ago. He also kind of has this sort of silly, kind of bizarre humor in a different context altogether. But he also uses that kind of music. So I think it works. And from a comedic point of view, I think it works best if you don't play for laughs.
Yeah.
If you don't like you mentioned, Will Ferrell. That's one thing I don't particularly like about him, that he's looking for the laugh. He's looking for the humor. But if you just play it straight and let the humor come out itself, I think it's much better.
It's funny because, as we know, I think we all see the Eurovision. I'm not sure if you saw it, Carl, but the one on Netflix.
No.
I find sometimes, Will Ferrell, he does push for humor, but he's actually much better when he doesn't, because he's quite a funny guy. But yeah, like they're very deadpan, these actors. It's they're not, because otherwise it destroys the comedy if they're trying to be funny.
Yeah, absolutely. If they were going for the laughs, it wouldn't work. It's their commitment to the seriousness of it that makes it funny.
Exactly.
All right, guys, ratings.
I have to give it 5 out of 5.
Really, that's interesting. I give it 4 out of 5 because a 5 out of 5 is kept something really, really outstanding. I know this is really good. I really enjoyed it, but 4 out of 5 for me.
I'm going to go 5 out of 5 as well on this one. I really enjoyed it. I like bizarre, just humor like this, and it worked for me.
Yeah, it was kind of unique in its own way, and it was everything about it was perfect. I mean, I don't think they could have done a better job. So I don't know, like what kind of they left on the table here. So you're really setting a high bar, I think, if you don't give this the maximum.
All right. Perfect. All right, audience. So clearly the three of us really enjoyed this film. Now what you need to do is go check it out. I'll throw a link. It's I think it's on, and you know, I like the way they did their website too, actually. So you actually, it's not on YouTube, it's on a website. I'll throw a link to the website in the notes so you can check it out and let us know what you thought of it. You can let us know what you thought of it by leaving a comment, a review, or just reaching out to us on social media via the @NoBudget social media channels of Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.